Hi, Eric DeGauda here from One Human Performance, and today we're going to talk about using mini bands for a series of band walks to help teach hip positioning as well as positioning of the foot and ankle. Now, the first thing we'll start with is what type of band you're going to use. My personal preference is the bands from Perform Better. They come in different lengths depending on the size of your athletes. They also come in a multitude of different colors that will have varying degrees of resistance. One big key you need to have here is you need to make sure you have the right resistance. A lot of times people will go too heavy and they end up compensating, and we're going to talk about some of those compensations that you'll see in a minute. Let's start by talking about setup. We're going to set up the band right around our ankles, where we can also set it up at the knees. I like to start at the ankles because it works as a great teaching tool to connect the foot and ankle all the way up into the hip. We get the band nice and smooth around the ankle, and we're going to set up into a good athletic position, meaning the feet are straight, that the knees track over the toes, and that the hips are in a neutral position. What the band is trying to do is it's trying to collapse everything in, which is a common fault we see from people who sit all the time and we're bound up through their hips. So if I tell the person to just stretch the band but don't move your feet, it creates a nice arch in the foot, opens up the knees so that they track over the toes and get your hips into neutral, and that's a good teaching tool to teach the connection between the foot and the hip. Something we should realize before we get started is that we're not looking to build a whole bunch of muscle or strength here with a rubber band. What we're looking to do is create cueing and firing patterns that'll get us to activate through an open, strong, athletic position, as well as get us to learn the connection between the foot, knee, and hip. It also serves as great practice if the phone rings when you're in the bathroom, but I digress. Now that we have our positioning, we're going to create some perturbation, basically create movement to try to throw us out of this position. We're going to start with a basic side-to-side step, and when we do that, the whole goal is to remain in this good neutral stance. So if I step to the side, I'm going to step and then replace here. I don't want to have my feet click together. I don't want to now overreach, because what I always teach first is the positioning of the pelvis. I say to act as if you're holding a bowl of water, and we don't want any to spill out of the front, the back, the side, or the side. What most people will do is to avoid using their hips. They will tip and lean and do that. That is not getting what we want to have accomplished here. What I teach people to do is take the foot that they're stepping away from, take that, drive it into the ground, and push the floor away. So if I'm stepping to my left, I'm going to push my right foot to the ground and drive the floor away, which has great applications to a lot of athletic endeavors. Once I have that placed here, I need to control that in. I don't want to drag that foot. Next thing you'll notice is that people will commonly start to turn their feet out. That means that they're starting to overuse their anterior hip and not use their posterior hip. A teaching tool I'll use with this is have someone take their hand and fan it out, because that somewhat mimics the way your hip muscles are structured along your lateral hip. I tell them if they go with their toe out, they're going to feel more towards their pointer finger. If they go toe in, they'll feel more towards their pinky. I need them to drive straight out to the side, so we're not favoring one or the other, and the common flaw you'll see is that the toes will go out. Last but not least is watch the positioning of the foot. I don't want to go on the insides of my feet or let my knees cave in. I want to keep that open foot with a nice strong arch. When I step, it stays maintained and it stays in its strong position. Now that we work side to side, we can now start working front and back. We're going to look for the same flaws that we want to try to eliminate. We want to make sure that the knees track through the toes, the feet stay straight with a good neutral arch, and that the pelvis stays in a neutral position. So we step forward and replace, and step forward and replace, and then begin to work our way backwards as well. Other patterns that you can do could be a zigzag pattern, where we'll go heel to toe and then out, heel to toe and then out, and then reverse that back. Toe to heel, back. Toe to heel, back. Another deviation we could do is go up onto a single leg, where we'll do what we call a toe touch drill. We'll balance solid on one side, and we'll reach out with an excursion on the other foot, either forward, diagonally, laterally, back on a diagonal, or straight back. We're looking for the same things we've been looking for in all the other walks, that we make sure we have a good neutral arch in the foot. We want to make sure that that knee stays tracking over the toe, and now as I stretch this band, it's going to try to dive that knee in, so I have to work even harder to keep that solid and in line. Same things I'm looking for in my hips, that I'm not tipping, that I stay nice and level. We don't want to spill that bowl of water. and we can work through in that star from front to back and back to front. As far as repetitions and sets, we don't need to do 1,000,000 of these. We're not looking to become the band walk champion of the world. We're just looking to create some stimulus and awareness, and once we have that, this carries over great to your bigger bang exercises like your kettlebell swings, your squats, and your deadlifts. Give them a try, and good luck.